everyone. So today has been eventful. It started off good. Samara's been progressing in the right direction. Every day we've gotten closer and closer to coming home. Yesterday they put her back on her home vent, so she is no longer on the hospital vent. She's back on her home vent settings, and we were getting closer and closer to getting home, and we still are. She was able to get off her antibiotics today, and the plan was to remove one of the IV lines because she has two. She has one in her groin and she has one in her neck. And so that was the plan. And they removed the one from her groin. And because it was an arterial line, it means it bleeds fast and a lot. So the nurse was in here, a great nurse that loves Samara, and we get along great. And she was holding pressure to make sure that she didn't, bleed too much, and that she could stop the bleeding with pressure. And she did all of that. We were in here with another doctor, and the resident was in here. We were all talking about, lines and different things. And so the bleeding stopped. She covered uh, the area with bandaging or whatever, and said she'd be back in a few minutes. And so I ended up talking to the resident for a little bit longer, and then she left, and then I made a phone call to my mom and was sitting here talking to my mom and watching Samara's monitors when I noticed that her heart rate started to go up. And so typically that usually means something is bothering her. So I decided to get up and look at her because her heart rate was like in the 140s. It wasn't anything like significantly high, but her heart rate is usually like in the low 100s. And so I got up and I said, let me check and see if she pooped. And when I opened the pamper, I saw she had, but then I also saw a crazy amount of blood. And the blood was just gushing out. So it seems as though when she pooped, she, I guess, probably bare down, and the pressure caused the area, which is right by her pamper, to start bleeding again. And because it was an artery, it was bleeding fast. And there was more blood than I had ever seen in my entire life. And so I quickly called for the nurse and put pressure on it until she got here, which was within seconds. And it was a lot of blood. And then Samara was twitching and doing these like jerky movements. And so the doctor came in and everybody came in, and they ended up rechecking her hemoglobin, which was already a little bit on the lower side, but her hemoglobin, which is her red blood count, dropped significantly to 6.2. And so she will be getting a blood transfusion shortly. And all I can say is thank God that I was here. Everyone agreed. Thank God that I was here and that Sammy and I never leave this child's side, because even with the most diligent nurse, which her nurse today is really amazing, and most of our nurses have been great, anything could have happened. The way the blood came out of this child quickly, literally it had to have been a couple of minutes of bleeding, because the nurse had just left the room within a few minutes prior. I wasn't even sitting in here for 15 minutes by myself, probably 5 minutes, and the amount of blood that came out of her very quickly was crazy. So I just, thank God for her protection, for, you know, that He continues to protect her, and that I was here, because her alarms wouldn't have gone off for a while probably, because her heart rate really wasn't that high. It was still within normal parameters. It was just because I was watching and I saw it was higher than normal, I was able to look and just make sure that she was okay. But had I been sleeping, had the nurse been busy and not been able to come back in, had she been here by herself, everyone was like, thank God that she, that I was here and that I looked. And so I just wanted to give that update. Other than that, everything's going in the right direction. As I said, she's back on her home vent. She just finished a course of antibiotics. One of the lines was removed. They are going to be placing a long-term IV line in her chest. She currently has an IV in her neck, and that'll be tunneled down so where it's more accessible in her chest. Since it is always such a hard time getting an IV on her, it's just safer to make sure she has IV access in case of any emergency, or if she needs something, she doesn't need to get poked or miss out on treatment because they can't access a line. So that's one of the things that will probably be happening. So I ask prayers for that, because she will likely go into the operating room tomorrow or Thursday to get that. It should be fairly quick since they already have an IV, and it's just moving the location down to her chest. And then we're working on getting her up to tolerating her full amount of food that she normally gets. And those really are the main things pending for her to be able to go home. So I asked for continued prayers. I just wanted to update everybody because people have been asking me how she's doing, and that's pretty much where we are. Please continue to stay tuned for more updates. I really appreciate all the prayers, and we truly appreciate all the people that have checked in on Samara. So, and on us. So thank you very much, and many blessings to you all.